it's hard to see the beauty in something when you see it daily. You could see the same surroundings like sites at work, home, school, people, nature, or even buildings. Have you ever been in a place and wondered who may have been there before you or what the area used to be like in the past? Some of you may say yes, most of you will say no, but no matter what, yes or no, I want you to picture a place that you see daily. Now, when you do that, envision yourself and ask yourself, what was there before? Now, almost 2 years ago, I worked as a housekeeper at Northern Air Resort. There were pictures hanging on the wall, and I never knew exactly what the meaning was behind them or who was in them. Until one day, I had some extra time on my hands, and I did some asking around and found out some pretty extraordinary things. I believe that some of the detail regarding this location will likely be surprising or even shocking to you. I'm excited to share the beauty of the Northern Air Resort in Three Lakes. Now this is the resort in the 1950s. Now today many of us don't know what our town's history is or who was there before. When going to work, look at any type of building and ask yourself, what was that building before it arrived? Or what was the building, or what would it used to be? Asking yourself these questions will most likely generate some pretty interesting answers. This is the first step to discovering the history of a person or place. With today's advanced technology, we're actually able to find out those answers very quickly. It's all completely up to you. Everything's right at the tip of your fingers. Being different is okay because most of the successful people and well-known people were considered different and they thought outside of the box. Being yourself gives you the opportunity to leave a legacy, become part of history, or even may be known as a legend. I will be sharing with you who the original owner was of the Northern Air Resort in Three Lakes, the events that happened there, the people who have visited, and animals that have actually lived there. Yes, I said animals. Now, let's begin by discussing who Carl Marty was and the history of how Northern Air was built. So earlier in Carl Marty's life, he actually used to be a cheesemaker, and by the time 1939 rolled around, he sold out his company and made a fortune. With the help of his brother and the money that he collected, he was able to bring the luxury resort to life. Now, by the time everything was said and done, there was 60 luxury rooms and suites at the Northern Air Resort. Now, according to the Three Lakes Historical website, in 1947, the Northern Air was designed by the famous baseball player Fred Cy Williams and was constructed by Carl Marty and his brother. Now, the location of the Northern Air Resort is actually on a piece of land that Carl Marty's father had bought in 1915. The resort is on Deer Lake and Big Stone Lake. This is right in the heart of the Northwoods. Now, during that time area, it was actually the post-war era, everything was starting to expand between the businesses and especially the resorts itself. Now, this is a picture of the staff, the cooking staff that was at the Northern Air Resort. This is an article of what people would say about the Northern Air, kind of like an advertisement. So now, what made the Northern Air so special was Carl Marty's internal optimism with a fertile mind, rich in new positive ideas, and the most unique personality. Let's click back. Now, along with Carl Marty being known as a character himself, there were thousands of people all over the world who came to visit him. That's including famous people. Some of those people were Bob Hope, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, and then also Gypsy Rose Lee, who was actually a famous actress. Now, there's many more people who were famous who visited the Northern Air Resort. That's just a handful. But Carl Marty, he wanted nothing but the best for his guest. His personality and generous hospitality not only attracted well-paying guests, but it attracted people worldwide, an endless amount of news reporters like the radio, and later on was the television and actors. So his resort became really popular very, very quick. Now, what Northern Air was well known for was the 5-star dining, entertainment, activities, and the animals that lived at the Northern Air Resort. Now this is a picture of the resort during the winter around 1956. Okay. Now, what events would attract people to the Northern Air Resort? For the events that would happen that attracted people during the summer was, there's many different things to do at all times, but the top attractions would be fishing, and then also swimming, golfing, and then of course, that's well known, the showboat at Northern Air Resort. Now, what on God's green earth would we do during winter? I know a lot of us have, we hear winter and then instantly want to snuggle up in a blanket. But Carl Marty made sure that that wasn't the case. He always had activities going on. Now, during the winter months, there was plenty of things to do, and once again, he made sure of it. There is cross-country skiing, and then the horse sleigh rides, that's perfect during the Christmas and the holidays, and ice skating. And again, that's just some of the top ones that a lot of people did. Now, Northern Air was the ideal place for a family vacation, and memories were always being made. In an article that I found on the Worth Point website, one of the commenters wrote, "To break bread with Carl Marty was each time always a new experience of gaining fresh food for the mind, the body, and the soul." So again, that's him caring. Now, this is another article about Northern Air. Alrighty, so then as Carl Marty was known for his events and his personality, there is another odd but interesting fact about Carl Marty himself. This is what made him so popular that everyone would come see him. And that other thing is having real live animals at the Northern Air Resort. Now, a quote that I read from a book, A Mother is a St. Bernard, by Edith Johnson, the author uses a quote from Sterling North. This quote is, he states that Carl Marty and his St. Bernard, Bernice, are shepherds of the wilderness who have fulfilled their biblical prophecy. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together. In fact, badgers, bears, beavers, brush wolves, foxes, minks, raccoons, otters, porcupines, skunks, and other orphaned animals of the forest succumb to the irresistible lure of good food, safe shelter, and caring provided by Carl Marty. Now, with that being said, what was so extraordinary about that is how Carl Marty would tend to all of their needs, and how he really truly cared. It didn't matter what kind of animal it was. It was his loving and passion. Now this is a picture of Carl Marty and his dog Ginger along with a fox. And then that's a big deer or fawn with his St. Bernard. And then the another picture of Carl, Marty, and Ginger and his St. Bernard. Now, an interesting story behind this picture of Carl, Marty feeding a baby bear, or a cub, is that he actually found this cub on the side of the road, and he took it in, and as you can see, he was feeding to it and caring for its own needs. So that's a really interesting story that he kind of displays and shows what, or that he does care for his animals. Now, this is a picture of the Northern Air Resort today. So as you can see from all the facts that I shared with you today, Northern Air is a very unique location with an interesting history. Carl Marty wasn't a man who was afraid to be himself and to pursue his dreams. Because he created a memorable legacy to many people around the world, Carl Marty illustrated how important it is to not be afraid to be ourselves. During his life, he wasn't afraid to be unique, and this can be inspirational for all of us. We each have something important to offer in this world, and we should never be afraid to pursue our dreams and be who we are. And then this is my sources.